Just when you thought Disney couldn't get any darker. Yeah. Guys, and welcome back to another video, and today I have got another exciting video for you guys. But before we get into this video, I just want to do the usual. My name's Amber. I upload beauty, fashion and lifestyle content. If that is the type of videos that you like to watch, then please hit that subscribe button and come along and join my little family. And if you're already part of the family, then make sure that notification bell switch on just so you're notified of whenever I upload a video. Why not give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment in the comment box down below. And now let me get right in, and today's video is a new video series from me, guys. I'm so excited to start this series, and it's going to be called Freaky Fridays. So I am going to be doing videos that are like make you really think on a Friday, because that's exactly what we need on a Friday, right? And I'm going to be doing like conspiracy theories and like Mandela effects and all that sort of good stuff. But today we're going to start off with some dark Disney conspiracy theories. I believe I've got 10 conspiracy theories here for you guys that are going to blow your mind. So let's get right in with number one. So the first theory that we're going to talk about relates to Peter Pan, and this is actually quite saddening for me because I absolutely love Peter Pan. It's one of my favourite Disney movies of all time, because basically I'm a big kid who does not want to grow up. So this theory is that Peter Pan is the angel of death. You heard that right. Angel of death. So if you've ever wondered why the Lost Boys don't grow up, maybe it's because they're already dead and Netherland is just a form of afterlife. Could Peter Pan be an angel of death? That's why they never get any older. That's why you can't grow up on Neverland. That's why you don't age. It's because you're dead. J.M. Barrie left the ownership of the original story to a children's hospital. He used to read it to kids who were terminally ill so they would not be afraid of dying. Author James Barrie's brother also died when he was only 13 years old, and some people think this is where Barrie's idea of never growing up comes from. Theory also ties with the famous line from the book which actually says, quote, "To die would be an awfully big adventure," end quote. And I actually think that this is plausible. I don't know, like I do genuinely think that he did write this book so children wouldn't be afraid. It just, everything adds up, it makes sense. I'm very interested. What are your thoughts on this one? The next one is about Aladdin, and this is that Aladdin is set in the future, not in the past. Told you I was going to blow your mind today, guys. Aladdin is set in a desolate wasteland after a catastrophic nuclear war. Like, we were made to feel like this was possibly like way back when. That doesn't make sense when you think about some of these things. Think about it. So Genie's been in a bottle for 10,000 years, and yet he knows all sorts of current pop culture references. You know, there's a lot of things that he talks about in the movie that wouldn't have happened way back when, so how does he know about them? Genie's references to 3rd century fashion and how he's been trapped in a lamp for 10,000 years. That dates Aladdin to year 10,300 at the earliest. And also there is a video game to go along with the film which actually features a modern stop sign buried in the sand. The next one, which is also quite sad, which is another Peter Pan theory, is that Ariel's mum was actually slain by Captain Hook. And by Ariel, I mean Ariel from The Little Mermaid. Of course I do. What other Ariel is there, Amber? Come on. In the original movie, we don't actually know that Ariel has a mother. We don't find this out until about the 3rd movie, which is called The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginning. And it turns out that Ariel's mum, Athena, was actually slain by pirates. And that's why she isn't around. One of the mermaids, Peter Pan's friend, looks just like Ariel's mother. She's got the beautiful red hair and the aqua tail, and it's strange that the mermaids in Peter Pan were all afraid of Captain Hook most of all. So did Captain Hook murder Ariel's mother? So our next theory takes place in the film Frozen, which is one of my favourites, and it is about Kristoff's morbid wardrobe. So despite Frozen already being a pretty dark entry into the world of Disney movies, there's a twisted theory that Kristoff is actually wearing the skinned pelt of Sven's mother. It's cold in the frozen expanse of Arendelle, so you can't blame Kristoff. Examining his winter wardrobe, it definitely looks like he's wearing reindeer skin. And considering that Sven's mother seems to be a little bit like Bambi, absent in the films, There's no talk of his mum. It's entirely possible that the ice harvesters dressed the orphan Kristoff in her hide so he didn't freeze. Maybe the dim-witted reindeer is too oblivious to notice, or maybe audiences are looking a little bit too hard for a darker meaning. Now, the next one is actually a very, very interesting theory about Hunchback of Notre Dame. And this is actually that the gargoyles are a figment of Quasimodo's imagination. I think it's one of those things, now you've heard this theory, if you go back and watch the film, you'll be like, oh my god, that so could be true. You've got to think about it like this, right? Quasimodo has been locked in a tower for years. Can you imagine that level of isolation? Can you imagine it? That would send the sanest person crazy. So in desperation one day, Quasimodo's psyche is simply locked onto these 3 stone gargoyles in the church, and he's basically made humorous friends out of them to keep himself sane. It doesn't appear that Frollo, despite his overall abuse, ever tried to smash down Quasimodo's childlike imagination, possibly due to neglect and Quasimodo simply hiding his new imaginary buddies for fear of execution or something. Do they help out in action scenes? What about when Quasimodo's interacting with other characters? They're in the parade at the end a little bit, but they're still far up on the tower where no one but Quasimodo would ever notice them. It also makes sense that the gargoyles are light-hearted and comedic in an otherwise bleak movie. What else would a child create to keep them from going mad with loneliness, or rather more mad with loneliness? We do see during the movie that Frollo has kept Quasimodo in a childlike mindset as well, lending additional credence to this theme. So the next one is that Snow White's Prince Charming is actually the angel of death. When Snow White and her prince first meet, the princess is acting carelessly near a well, and the prince appears to see what she's up to, meaning he could have been waiting for her to fall in, because he's the angel of death and all. But it gets darker. When Snow White spots the prince, she runs back into the castle. Our innocent mind thought she could have just been shy, but this theory suggests that she's actually had her first glimpse at death. So after this encounter, she sends the prince a white dove, which apparently represents the soul flying free from the body. Not even the final scene where Snow White finally gets to kiss her Prince Charming is safe. The theory claims that he has actually given her the kiss of death as he is riding on a white horse, which is the same colour horse that death rides in myths and legends. The prince's romantic kiss appears to wake Snow White up, but if you go off this theory, the smooch is actually the prince giving Snow White the chance to say goodbye to the 7 dwarfs before disappearing into the sunset together. So instead of whisking Snow White off to her happily ever after, the prince could be taking her to meet her fate. Then, just to get even sadder, in the film, Carl is actually dead in the entirety of the film. This is a heartbreaking theory to any Disney lover, but it suggests that he died in his sleep before he was going to be taken to the Shady Oaks retirement village. Russell is his guardian angel, helping him into the afterlife, and the house that he loves so much represents his connection to the real world. Therefore, everything that happens in the film represents the afterlife. So Russell is obviously his guardian angel, and he's trying to earn him his wings, or his final badge. And apparently Russell took the form of a little boy to make up for Carl and his wife Ellie's inability to have children, and the house represents Carl's attachment to the physical world, with Paradise Falls being his perceived representation of heaven. So the next one we're going to talk about is, again, I mean, I'm saying one of my favourite. I just love Disney films, but Finding Nemo just has a place in my heart. So Nemo didn't survive the attack that killed his mother and his siblings. Finding Nemo opens to arguably one of the saddest Disney scenes of all time. Marlin's wife Coral and all of their eggs are attacked by a ferocious fish, leaving Nemo and Marlin the only survivors. However, some fans believe that Nemo never actually survived the attack, and the movie is just an allegory of Marlin dealing with the stages of grief. The evidence. Let's start with the fact that in Latin, Nemo means nothing, hinting to Nemo being nothing more than the figment of Marlin's imagination. Secondly, the 5 stages of grief are mapped out very easily within the movie. So we've got denial, which is not wanting Nemo to go to school. Then we've got anger, yelling at Nemo when he swims out too far. We've got bargaining, journeying across the ocean. We've got despair, which is seeing Nemo flush down the drain, and then we've got acceptance, which is learning to finally let go of the past. Now, the next one I want to talk about is probably the darkest of all the ones on here, and that is from The Emperor's New Groove. And this is that a scene in The Emperor's New Groove is actually one of brutal human murder. Just when you thought Disney couldn't get any dark. It turns out that The Emperor's New Groove has really has a dark side, one that you probably saw but totally missed. Remember that fly Kuzco saw get eaten while he was walking through the scary jungle? That fly wasn't just a fly, it was a human. Only animals who have once been human are able to speak in the movie. So the fly would have had to have once been a human for Kuzco to have heard his screams. That one's going to give me nightmares. Then last but not least, I have got another Frozen conspiracy for you guys, and this one is that Frozen actually has a political hidden meaning about climate change. So most people watch Disney's Frozen and assume it's just an innocent little story. That would be wrong. Pretty soon after the movie was released, rumours began to spread that it actually had a hidden political meaning. Apparently people thought that kids would be more likely to act against climate change if they could see just how pretty the colder areas of the planet are. If we don't lower our carbon dioxide emissions, poor Olaf will melt forever. Just like polar ice caps. Incredibly, the main promoter of Frozen / the climate change theory was the US government. They essentially confirmed that this hidden political motive existed in the film when they tried to use Frozen's characters in their environmental campaigns. However, Disney wasn't happy about this. Disney got annoyed about their brand being used for political purposes, and the idea was shelved. You might say that the Obama administration let it go. Yeah, that was a bad joke. I apologise about that. I'd love to know what your thoughts on these conspiracy theories are. Let me know down below. Do you think they're true? Do you think they're just a whole load of rubbish? Or do you think there's some truth in them? And let me know. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know if you enjoyed this video. Do you want to see more of these videos? This is obviously the first one. I would love to know. And I shall see you in the next one. Mwah. Thanks so much for watching.